Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your hosts from Columbus, Ohio and Westfield, Massachusetts are Michael Kirk and Nathan Wagner. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Super Show. Good morning, Nate.
Morning, Michael. Good morning to our listeners, and good morning to those who are at Dragon Con for the final day.
That's right. We are in the midst of Dragon Con weekend. I think Dragon Con's going on tomorrow too because it's because of Labor Day, because they give that extra day.
Really?
I believe it's a 5-day con. Yeah, that's why I compared it to Origin, because Origin is also a 5-day con.
I'm checking right now. I thought it ended today. Oh yeah, Monday, September 2nd. So I redact that statement.
Yeah, but there is only one more Super Show event. They've had 2 of the 3 so far. First 2 were singles, and as of right now, the Reverend Robert Torn is having an incredible week because he's cleaning it up because he's won both singles events. So the one from a Friday night was a Play Pure event. No spectacles, no entrances, no skill cards. Just you and a 30-card deck against an opponent and a 30-card deck. The finals came down to Reverend Robert Torn playing the Mark Jeff Bravo versus the guy that was simply known as New Guy Steve playing the Big Shot.
New Guy Steve, I like that name.
That's all they called him, and I don't know who he beat in the Saturday. The only broadcast I've seen from Saturday is a broadcast that Leo did, and it was 90% Leo reaction shot. Actually, it was pretty much all Leo reaction shots eating, and you got a little bit of sound in the background. So I heard that Robert Torn won, but I didn't match. Didn't see who he played with. Didn't see who he played against. But no, he won. So he's just cleaning up this week.
That's good for him. I wonder, he used the Mark Jeff Bravo in one of the wins. He didn't even use his own competitor card.
I don't know if he used his own competitor card last night because again, I didn't catch any of the details. But I mean, anybody that's from Grimm's Toy Show, he had a hint. The Reverend Robert Torn, Alan Hawkins had a hand in creating, so he did create the Mark Jeff Bravo.
Okay.
So it is sort of one of his cards, even though he's not the Mark Jeff Bravo. He works on anything that's out of Grimm's Toy Show, which is so Grimm, Lunatic Ginge, Reverend Robert Torn, the Mark Jeff Bravo. I believe Monster Asylum is also out of that. All those, were basically put into the game by the man we know as the Reverend Robert.
So that would be how many competitors then total?
That's
6?
5. That was 5. Grimm,
Five.
Grimm, the 2 that are Grimm, Ginge, Torn, Bravo, and Monster Asylum. That's 5. It's possible I've missed one, but I believe that's all.
I saw some other stuff from Dragon Con. They had like people dressed up as like Goldust and Joey Janela and all sorts of wrestling cosplay.
Yeah, they apparently the opening night of Dragon Con, they've had for years a Dragon Con wrestling series of matches they put on. So apparently all those people dressed up like that to go to that. Yeah, they've shown pictures of people dressed like the Macho Man and Hogan. They had a Dusty cosplayer. I believe they had a it was either D'Lo Brown or Devon Dudley. Or
it was Devon Dudley. That's what I saw.
Dudley. Yeah. And I forget who the other one was. But yeah, there's a lot of people cosplaying as the wrestling Dragon Con, which is cool. So hopefully we get it'd be nice to see quite a bit of new players come to the Super Show. For Dragon Con.
Nice. Well, there's at least one New Guy Steve.
At least New Guy Steve. And apparently I'm not familiar with what the ACCW championship is. It's something that the Reverend Robert Torn currently holds. Apparently he's letting another new guy named Jeremy get a chance at it.
Very interesting. Yeah, I saw the title.
Yeah, it's a nice looking belt. Also introduced as a title for this convention, the hardcore title.
Is that going to be an LFF sanctioned title?
I don't know. I imagine right now it's in the same category as the 24/7 championship. It's interesting the way they played it. So you always had to do TLC matches, and when essentially you could only use competitors one time. So basically, if you challenge for the belt, the competitor and lost, the moment you lost, that competitor can no longer ever use the challenge for the belt.
So if you lose with like the Hornet, you can't challenge again with the Hornet?
Nobody can challenge again with the Hornet.
Okay.
The Hornet's eliminated.
You know, it's funny though, I asked that question because Steve had posted to his Facebook story like an image of the hardcore title, but it was like card art. It was like someone holding up a hardcore title. So that's why I was wondering if it was going to be a new title.
I don't know. To be fair, and this is not. I don't want to be disrespectful to the Mad Custodian. He's the guy that created this title. I kind of would like it to be a little bit more hardcore in its look.
Yeah, they could just definitely take a hammer to it.
Wow, that's a lot of money. I don't know if I want to take a hammer to it. Those things are cheap, but I just look at them like it's a very. I mean, I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he went out and did that for us. That's really cool. But
so they've had two singles. Didn't they have a tag event too?
The tag event will be tonight. The tag event will be Sunday night. Yeah, yeah. Normally they do the because in most tournaments they do the Underworld tag and then the World Championship, and they decided essentially because they were expecting a lot of new players, and because tag is a little more difficult to pick up, they'd rather do the singles up front, and tag last, to get players basically essentially more reps, more experience playing before they threw them into a tag.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, if you got a bunch of singles games down, then by the time you play tag, you should be pretty well acclimated.
Yeah, so the first night, which would normally be an Underworld Championship, was just they called it like a Play Pure singles tournament, and then last night was actually the World Championship. So Reverend Robert Torres, 2019 Dragon Con World Champion. So congrats to him for just tearing up this weekend. And heck, he could win. He could win Tornado Tag tomorrow too. Who knows?
They're also having Tornado tomorrow as well.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize. If he could win regular tag, that's a mistake. I meant just to say regular tag. I don't know why I said Tornado. You know why I said Tornado? Because I got Tornado Tag on the brain. Because that's the big title match that happened so far at Dragon.
You know, it's funny. I just caught that. I don't know if you intentionally said that, but you said you got Tornado Tag on the brain, and the brain is the Tornado Tag.
Hey, there we go. That's a good. That was unintentional.
There we go.
Yeah, although apparently the Hardcore Championship is done because the Brainer is the last holder, and he is apparently leaving with the Hardcore Championship. He apparently had to fly out today.
Brain has left the building.
The Brain has left the building. So I want to talk about the Tornado Tag match. So you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. I was going to talk about the con promo cards first, but let's talk about the.
Let's talk about the con promos first.
You want to talk about the con promos? Okay, so let's go through the con promos. So these are in no particular order, and I'm not counting the Rager the Dragon God Ultra card. Rager's already out. We've already covered it on the show. It's just basically a giant picture of a dragon instead of the picture of the competitor. It's a nice looking picture of a dragon.
It is. It's a very nice dragon.
Very nice dragon, but it doesn't really do anything else. And I don't know what days these are being given out, so we're going to go through them in kind of no particular order. I've actually got them in here. I'm going to go through the Punch, Kick, Kanrana, and Sleeper in that order.
Oh, the 25, 26, 27?
Yeah, and the 7. So, all right, so we'll do them in number order. So, Start with the number 7 lead strike, the Dragon Punch. Reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 to your hand, and shuffle the other back into your deck.
So we've seen cards like this before.
Yep.
That's a pretty good card. I mean, the only disadvantage is you're revealing the 2 cards. So, I mean, they're going to have a 50-50 chance figuring out what you're going to put in your hand depending on the situation, time of the game. But at least the other card isn't getting flipped or buried. It's getting shuffled back in. And when it gets shuffled in, that's going to work for some characters, specifically like Hurricane.
Yeah.
That's a good card.
Yeah, it's a very nice. It's got Punch in the name, so all the characters that trigger off Punch, like, of course, Polly, the Pigeon Cone, and one of the newer characters we'll probably go through in the next few weeks, Gideon Guts.
I so badly want to pair him with Polly Pacone.
All right, so on the next 3 are all essentially just variations on cards we've already had before. The Dragon Kick is a lead strike, number 25. It just gives you +1 attack, nice static effect.
And you can notice that there's like behind the technique, the word technique, there's like dragon scale. It almost looks like.
Yeah, that actually is a very cool effect. I'm hoping that shows up on the actual printed card. It's very cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. The next
this one has kick in the name too, so there are competitors like Lily Mai who have some stuff that deals with kicks, and there are other competitors as well, I'm sure. But
yeah, I'm not sure.
The thing of it is, like, these 3 cards which we're about to talk about, I don't know, like, how important it would be to pack these in these slots, like, because you're losing a stop any.
It depends. Like for example, I haven't looked at it, but I mean, looking at the card, it just occurs to me that with the Dragon Kick, for example, that could be something that a living weapon Michael Deans packs in his deck. I don't know what his technique is now. I would have to imagine pretty high. I know his strength is 10. So
I'm not sure, but I just don't see it, losing a stop any grapple.
I mean, obviously somebody like the Brain might think about packing. Sorry, King Pink might think about packing this.
Yeah, sure.
Makes sense. And I mean, if these next 6 cards are definitely something for players who want to play aggressive.
Well, actually, that would work good in the living weapon Michael Dean's deck because he's got a 9 for technique.
Then that would be a great one because he would start off with 2 10s.
So, at the expense of not being able to stop a grapple.
Yeah, he'd just have to rely on essentially, I guess, running lariat and something like elbow strikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a risk.
But I feel like moving forward to the next one though, like the 26, the Dragon Con Rana, which is brilliantly named, that adds +1 to agility. So again, these are very risky to pack, but I mean, if you say you have a deck, right, that packs like all 3, I believe there's 3 of each of these now that you can have, like, where you can now bump something up 3 times. Like, for example, the agility one, there's 2 other cards. There's Hurricane Rana, and then there's Leaping Knee, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Those both add to agility. So with this, that would be 3. You could probably pack 3 different cards that'll bump your agility up. I mean, it'd be interesting to see a deck kind of like that uses just these stat boosts. That relies on that.
You can also see now, this also kind of paves the way for someone whose gimmick is based on boosting their stats. That kind of gimmick now, because we already have characters that basically get gimmicks trigger off boosting turn rolls. So why not one that triggers off boosting stat?
Yeah.
So yeah, the Dragon Panorama does +1 agility. The lead grapple number 26. The last one, Dragon Sleeper, lead submission number 27, +1 to power. So this actually would be a card you could think about packing against somebody like was it Sean Grubaugh, Patient Zero?
Oh yeah, it's at the start of the match. You choose
You
an
choose
opponent. Their power is -1 during their turn. Turn rolls in first and second breakouts.
right. I mean, yeah, you are having to give up stop any the spot, but
It would counteract his gimmick.
it would counteract it. So those cards in the alt art Ranger the Dragon God, those are the cards if you are at Dragon Con all 5 days. You stop by the booth and you pick which one is up. I mean, they're nice cards for they're all nice cards for for cards.
I definitely like the art on all three of the 25 through 27. The art on those is really nice.
Yeah, I like the Dragon Kick.
Yeah, the Great Onimon.
The Great Onimon, yeah. Flying through the air.
Kicking Eddie Fury in the face.
Yep, kicking Eddie in the face. So let's talk about the one match that's been a championship match. So a lot of I don't know if a lot's right, but some controversy around it because I believe it was Friday night. So the match is going to be Robert the Brain Dunn taking on Thomas, aka Slash Gordon.
Yeah, and Gordon got counted out.
Gordon got counted. Apparently, not only did Gordon get counted out, but the boss, Steve Rest, put a stipulation that the Reverend Robert Torn would be the special guest referee.
Yeah, Steve has it out for Slash.
Yeah, well, I think Steve has it out for Ariel and Grimm. But the next day, the general manager John Calais overturned that ruling, overturned the countout, so the match would happen Saturday night. That Robert the Brain Dunn, the champion, would defend his Tornado Tag belt against Flash Gordon. But there were some changes that were allowed that will bring up because there were some changes that the Brain was allowed to put in, and there were some changes that Thomas Gordon was allowed to put in, or sorry, was sort of required to make changes. So, who would you like to talk about first? The Slash Gordon changes or the
We'll talk about the Slash Gordon changes because these ones I really feel like hurt him.
I would probably agree with that. So Slash Gordon had won the Tornado Tag tournament at Gen Con, I believe just earlier in early August, using a team of Grimm with Aerial Lipstick's gimmick and Scott Prime. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with those competitors, let me read off what they do. So, Grimm's gimmick is, at the start of the match, reveal another single competitor card, add their gimmick to yours. He had revealed Aerial Lipstick. Aerial Lipstick's gimmick is when you roll power for your turn roll, your opponent buries 2 cards in their hand. And he paired that gentleman with Scott Prime. And Scott Prime's gimmick is when you roll agility for your turn roll or finish roll, you may switch it to power.
So you're getting a 14.
So let's just run through these stats real quick. So together, their stats are power 14, technique 11, agility 13, strike 18, submission 17, and grapple 19. And because of the gimmick, whenever he rolls agility, he gets to switch to power, so his 13 will all be switched to a 14.
And then they bury 2.
And then they bury 2. So not only does he get a switch, but he basically doubles the chances of forcing his opponent to bury 2.
So I feel like,
and he can still win a lot of rolls with that because we'll go into, although not really because we'll go into that in a little.
So let's talk about what his change was.
So his change. So he was allowed to keep Grimm and Scott Prime as a team, but he was required by the general manager to switch to basically take out Ariel Lipstick and put in another competitor. And the competitor he elected to pick was Brian Cage. Now, Brian Cage's gimmick is when you roll power for your turn roll, your next turn roll is +2.
Which is clever in the sense that the Scott Prime, you can switch your agility to power, so it'll trigger Brian Cage's gimmick.
Right. So he essentially has. So he's got a 1 in 3 chance of being able to trigger that gimmick because whenever he rolls his agility or power, he gets switched. So he rolls a 14, and then he'll get +2 to his next roll. Which is which, like you just said, that's actually a pretty good gimmick switch in that case.
And though I didn't quite understand it the way that you just said it. Like I was under the impression that the general manager, said he was allowed to make a change. Like it was like Thomas Gordon wanted to change to prove that he didn't need Ariel Lipstick. So he was allowed to change his competitor. I don't think the way I understood it was that the general manager wasn't forcing him to switch.
I could be wrong on that. I took it as it was a force, but either way, it's not. Either way, it's not the team he won with.
Right, and that's
a change was made. If it was a choice, I think it ultimately hurt him
big time because if you watch that game back, the Brain, there was a few times where the Brain's gimmick, which we'll get into, helped him win rolls, but the Brain's dice were on fire, and he had maximum hand size the entire game.
Yeah. And actually, let's talk about the Brain change. Because I think the change on the Brain helped him a lot too. And I'll go in and let's go into why. Okay. So the Brain was allowed. So they've made a con-exclusive tag team card based on the Brain's current championship team, which is a team of Robert the Brain Dunn and the Witch's Apprentice. So they've combined that into a new team called Brain Power. At this point, I reached out to Bob Dunn. At this point, there are no finishes for Brain Power. It's just the card. But you can play the Witch's Apprentice finishes and the Robert the Brain Dunn finishes, as well as generic finishes.
What's the gimmick say?
So the new gimmick is, once a turn roll, if your opponent won the last turn roll, you may re-roll. When you hit a card with power or choke in the name, your opponent varies one random card in that. Now that is actually the exact gimmick. The first sentence about the reroll is the exact gimmick of Robert the Brain Dunn's single competitor card. And the second sentence is the exact gimmick of the Witch's Apprentice single competitor card.
That's what I said to you. You told me it was different. You said it was the same.
No, I did.
Yeah, I did. I said they mashed it up into one card, and you said it was different.
Well, okay. The gimmick is the same, but there's a big difference elsewhere that we'll get into. That we're gonna. No, you're right. You're 100% right. The gimmick's the same, but there's another difference that there's actually couples. There's actually one, I think, sort of bigger difference and a few subtle differences that I think make this card better than the two single cards combined.
Oh, well, what are they?
Okay, well, let's start with the stat line. Okay? So the Brain Power current stat line is Power 20, Technique 12, Agility 14, Strike 16, Submission 18, Grapple 10. Right? Pretty standard stat line. Okay. Here is the original stat line as singles. Power 20. Technique 12. Agility 12. Strike 16. Submission 18. Grapple 12.
So there's 3 12s.
So there's 3 12s.
I mean, they kind of balanced it.
Obviously they did balance it. They increased one by 2. They increased the other by 2. The difference, I think, though, is when you're taking on Grim only has Slash Gordon's team. Its lowest stats an 11, and it's got because of the gimmick, it has 2 14s.
Yeah, I guess if you're saying it, if he was to be using 2 singles competitors and he had and Grim had 2 14s, the Grim combination would have ultimately had the advantage because.
Look, obviously it comes down to die rolls. If you roll high, you roll high. But if you just look at like straight odds, I would argue that odds statistically, the Slash Gordon's team had a better shot of rolling winning turn rolls versus Brains.
Yes, and not only that, because of Brian Cage's gimmick triggers, those 14s are going to turn into 16s.
The possible.
What?
Because the bonus is on the next turn roll.
Yeah, it's on the next turn roll, right?
Right.
The agility is the 13. It's actually a 13 and a 14.
Yeah, it's a 13 and 14, but it's a factor of 2 14s. Now if brain power is rolling all 16s, 18s, 20s, that doesn't matter. But the idea that half the rolls on the original team would basically lose to 5 out of 6 rolls on Thomas Gordon's team, I think would have given Thomas Gordon an advantage, but because we switched to the tag team card, I'd have to believe that helped out the brain a little bit.
So, yeah, Thomas Gordon would have. I just think that he rolled poorly, and the brain with the new stat line, I think that kind of helped him out a little bit. But he had such a big hand that entire game, and the fact that he played his cards so perfectly that 90% of the time, Thomas Gordon, whatever you want to call him, he didn't have more than maybe 3 or 4 cards in his hand. At one point, he had 1 or 2 cards in his hand.
Yeah, I believe he hit. I believe he kept hitting. Was it a Super Snap Brainbuster?
Yeah, and then he hit a chokehold, a perfectly timed chokehold, followed by the next turn he had a boot choke.
Yeah, Thomas Gordon had to bury a lot.
And then he was playing sucker punch and stuff. What was the other one he played? He was drawing so many cards. Like, he always had a full hand and had to discard after drawing.
Yeah. No, look, Bob Dunn won. Clearly, fairly, according to the rules, no controversy. I was just saying, looking at it, I feel like the changes, helped him out a little bit more and hurt Thomas Gordon. But, they accepted the match. The other thing I was going to bring up was that because he was able to switch to a tag team card, there's cards he's able to play. I'm talking about Bob Dunn that you normally wouldn't have been able to play.
I think that the Super Snap Power Bomb is a really good choice for that deck because obviously it's got the word power in it, so that triggers for Witch's Apprentice. The brain played that perfectly. So kudos to Mr. Dunn.
Yeah. It makes sense he played that because it triggers his gimmick. He could have also played, in this case, the double death drop.
What would that have done for him?
Just plus 6, just 2 low skills.
Okay. Would have brought his 10 up to a 16.
12 up to an 18. It's not terrible. I think it's a better stat. I think in a tag it's a better stat boost than the Super Snap Power Bomb. Because I believe the Power Bomb only gives you what, 3 single stat, 3 plus 1s. Text. He played the Power Bomb, and that makes sense. He also could have. He also would be able in this deck to pack those new stop any's that let you draw a card.
Yeah, the sucker punch and the rolling forearm lock.
Yeah, no, I was talking about the double axe handle, double slam, and the third one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yep.
Because it's now a tag team card, you can play anything that lets you play black tag cards with the black tag team text or logo on. But you know what? Congrats to Bob Dunn. It was a good match. I like seeing that we have a new tag team in the game. Brain Power. They spoiled some. Steve spoiled a couple of the three of the new tag teams that are coming out. Black Lipstick, Storage Warriors, and Cryptocurrency.
The black lipstick. It sounds like Alton Black and Ariel lipstick.
I kind of thought it could have been Sage and Ariel Lipstick at one point. Although he has spoiled artwork that he and Sage are going to be a tag team. So I don't know if you want to put Sage in too many tag teams. Alton Black makes sense. No, I just don't mean that's not a dig on Sage. It's just like, do you want the same character in multiple tag teams, or do you want to kind of mix it up?
Storage Warriors. That's an interesting name. I would think that may be Warehouse and Immortal Warrior.
That's the most logical thing. I think I can't imagine what warrior it would be outside of Immortal Warrior. It's an interesting pairing. I wouldn't have thought. I was trying to think of things when I was making tag team names that you could use for for Warehouse, and I just couldn't come up with any. So interesting thing went with Storage Warriors.
Cryptocurrency must be
if it's who I and the gold standard.
Yeah, and the gold standard.
Yeah, if it's what I propose, that's what it is.
What would Storage Warriors gimmick be?
Good question.
I mean, those two competitors don't really have much in common gimmick-wise. They don't mesh well. I mean, even stat-wise, they don't mesh well.
Well, stat-wise, I'm not worried about because it's gonna be 20 through 10.
Yeah, I know, but
I don't, because Immortal Warriors is technique, I believe, is his highest, and it's submission for the Warehouse.
Yeah. Submission and then power. Submission, then I believe grapple.
Could be. I'm not. You've played them a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the gimmick would be. I would, because it's about storage. I would think about doing a gimmick where when you add cards, when you move a card to your deck, you get some kind of bonus. Or when you shuffle a card to your deck.
You can't take away from Warehouse's gimmick was tried and true. Look at your opponent's hand. That has to factor in somewhere, I would think, into the gimmick.
Maybe not. Maybe they just go completely new gimmick. I don't see anything with I don't know why the trio card for SRG Universe comes into play, but there's nothing about that gimmick that really relates to the three gimmicks of the SRG Boss, General Manager John Clace, or Sage the Wicked Witch. There's very little with El Super Sons that ties into what El Super Hombre or the Rising Sun do as a gimmick. I think Brain Power is almost kind of unique in that it literally takes the two gimmicks from two singles competitors and just throws them all on one card. I don't think that's normally how gimmicks for tags or trios are
done. Yeah. I think that if they're gonna go down this road and make, a bunch of tag teams, I think that's the way to go. If their 2020 vision, whatever it may be, maybe it's to get rid of homebrews. I mean, this would be the way to do it.
Yeah, they talked a little bit about that on Talk the Universe, that they are definitely looking at more going to tornado tag printed tag, which is why they've come up with at least three of them. Three of them they've teased. They've released Brain Power. We know there's a Sage Boss potentially. I would say likely in the works to come out. So that's five. That's 5 tag team cards.
Yeah.
You know about.
What else do we have for news?
What else do we have for news? That is pretty much it. There hasn't been. We've got Marktoberfest is still coming up in a couple weeks. Impact is next month. Flat Saturday is in November. And we've got PAX Unplugged in December. Those are the next big 4 events. There's nothing really else about when anything is going to be released. I heard some people speculating about doing a second Kickstarter for this year. Not only do I not think that's going to happen, I don't think that's actually know what that was on Pile Drive. Not only is that I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't know if you want to do multiple Kickstarters. That's a lot.
That is a lot, and I mean, like, we wouldn't even get it this year.
No, probably no. We wouldn't get it this year. And that, I mean, we're what? I mean, if we're going to do another Kickstarter in February, like we did last year, that's what, 5 months from now?
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I don't know where that idea came from, but
it seems like it's too much news now.
They have so much stuff. I would want to believe that's in the pipeline already that's going on. You know, like adding another huge project like a Kickstarter on top of everything that they already have going on, I feel like would bog them down immensely.
I mean, because if you figure right now they're coming up with tag create, especially because like you and I talked about, if you're gonna make Tornado Tag and Trio going forward, all printed instead of homebrew, said there's gonna be a lot of work in that. That's why one of the things I've heard speculated is that if they do a Kickstarter early next year, if you buy competitors, you're gonna have to create a tag.
That speculation. So like a $500 tier, there's no singles. It's just all tags for $500.
That is the speculation I've heard. That's not confirmed anywhere. It's just an idea for thrown out.
A couple of years back, I believe it was the knockdown tier. If you look at those, you could go back and look at their previous Kickstarters. I want to say it wasn't this year; it was the year before's. There was a tag team tier. You were able to create a tag team. So I would think that if someone really wants to still create a singles competitor, they should be able to. But at the same time, they should still be able to. I mean, maybe they could do a deal like if a singles is 500, make a tag team for like 400. More incentive to get more tag teams into the game, and you could still get a competitor card made. You make a tag team instead.
I mean, maybe. I don't know if they're. Again, we're speculating because we have no idea. We don't even know if they're going to do a Kickstarter early next year like they've done the last few years. They might do one in February. They might put that on. They might not. We don't know.
I don't see why they would stop now.
Well, I mean, it could be they push it back later in the year. It could be. Who knows?
I thought you meant them just not do a Kickstarter at all next year. Because I mean, to me, Kickstarter though for what their company is helped their company tremendously, and it's a great way to get new people into the game. And there are a lot of new people in the game now who maybe are still not as serious about this game. And then when a Kickstarter comes out, that really draws new players in and hooks them hook, line, and sinker into the game.
And I have no problem with that as that idea. The only thing I would mention is, and somebody else I've heard mention this too, they've put out a lot of product this last year. Between the Kickstarter, the faction packs, all the new competitors that got released, we got all the promos from all the conventions they're doing for the first time this year. Because I mean, PAX South was new, PAX East was new, Dragon Con this year is new. You've got all the promos from all the creative competitor events, the Rust Belt one.
I mean, it was a big year
Monroe
for
one.
them.
It's a big year. It's been a big year for a lot
But
of product coming.
The one thing I didn't mention about the Kickstarter, and I think
Uh,
you'll absolutely wholeheartly agree with me on, is that the Kickstarter brings together the community as a whole in a whole nother level. Like the speculation of what the cards are going to be doing, like the new set, like the new competitors who may be released, the stretch goals, like that's a really awesome time. Like, and I think that's something that they capitalize well on is their Kickstarter campaigns. So.
No, I mean that's true. Although I would also then argue any big release they would announce, if they were just to announce a release like that but not make it a Kickstarter, you'd get the same, people coming together. I mean, there is a little bit of an excitement in the Kickstarter in that, hey, we have goals and we're trying to hit these goals. When we hit these goals, things happen. So people trying to make the goals happen. Now, in that sense, absolutely, yeah. Trying to get all the comments and shares and all that jazz. Yeah, absolutely. That definitely does mobilize for sure.
I mean, last year when we were trying to get Haltane, that last push to get Haltane was epic. It was just something else, you know?
Especially when we had some people drop out and we had to try to get back up. That was tough. But we made it. We have Haltane. Got him sitting to my right in the binder. Well, that's one guy still I would like to meet at some point, Jericho. Don't know if or when he'll be out this way.
Well, he is now the new AEW champion as of yesterday.
Yes, he is, as of last night. Yeah.
I was very surprised about that.
I wasn't.
I mean, I can see the logic behind it. I'm not going to say I don't, but whatever.
I mean, he's the biggest name. I think you want to bring as many eyes to the product as possible.
The biggest loss of the night, though, when Omega lost to Pac, that blew my mind. I did not think he was going to lose that match. Doesn't make sense for him to lose that match. Because he's now 1-2. That's stupid.
Nyla Rose was 0-2 coming into last night, which shocked me. I was surprised there's a couple things that surprised me, and I'll admit I only watched the pre-show. I didn't watch it. I did not buy the pay-per-view, but I was surprised that Nyla won, and I was also surprised at who the other match to determine the other competitor. Like, I don't know anything about the two women that were in the singles match for the chance to be in the to win the championship.
Yeah, I don't know much about. I don't follow a lot of women's wrestling myself. So.
Well, and it's also two Japanese competitors, which is like, okay, they're not really. I mean, they featured two Japanese competitors in the Nyla Rose match, but they're not really anybody that. I said this before. I thought the big women that were going to be in AEW, the way it looked to me, was it was going to be Britt Baker, and then as the number one, Nyla Rose and/or Kylie Ray as basically two.
Kylie
Ray
is gone.
Oh, Kylie Ray's gone.
She asked for a release and they granted it. She's gone.
I didn't even know. That may be part of it then, because I didn't know that she asked for her release.
I thought Allie was going to be a big part.
And then Allie, I thought was going to be the next one. Going to be we can round out the top four. But I had no idea that. I didn't realize that Kylie Ray had left. Wow.
Yeah, I just saw that this morning. Thanks to Big Match Pete for sharing that information.
Okay, yeah. All right, well then that makes sense. But yeah, I'm just wasn't familiar with either of these two women. I mean, I saw more stuff about Sadie Gibbs than I saw about the two women who were, going to be. Either one of them was going to be guaranteed.
I never heard of Sadie Gibbs before that Battle Royal. But she was pretty good.
They did a promo package of her at I can't remember if it was Fight for the Fallen or Fighter Fest. So that's where I kind of first learned about her. Was they did a big promo pack. They did like a big video then package for her, promoting her. She's apparently a UK wrestler coming over.
Off topic of AEW, that the UK, the NXT UK brand pay-per-view, that was a really good pay-per-view. In fact, that Walter versus Tyler Bate match, did you see that?
I did not see any of that. I'm probably gonna try to watch it.
That match went over 40 minutes.
Gee,
A lot of people saying it's gonna be match of the year.
Iron Man match there. Gosh.
Tyler Bate, let me tell you, like, that crowd was more alive than the AEW crowd was. Like, that crowd was on fire through like the whole pay-per-view, and especially at that match. It was just insane. And Tyler Bate put on a show, but Walter ended up retaining.
Well, so that is all the news out of Dragon Con. So congratulations to Robert Torn for winning the two single events.
Yeah, good luck to whoever wins the tag team events today.
Congratulations to Bob Dunn for retaining the Tornado Tag Championship, for winning the Hardcore Championship. I hope he has a safe journey home. Thanks to Thomas Gordon, will always have a special place for me because he's the guy that introduced me to to playing Johnny Gargano, which is what helped me do so well at PAX Unplugged last year. So congratulations to all these guys, and we'll look for the news coming out. Oh, the last thing I didn't mention, it looks like Leo the Law may get an opportunity to face John Poverino for the Trios Champion. There's a poll up. Cool. There's a poll up right now that Seth Bell put up, basically asking what Trios team Leo should use against Poverino. So that'd be an interesting match to see. I would never pick Leo to be the next guy in line for that. That's kind of a surprise. All right. So I have a competitor I'd like to go over. Sure. Okay, so a lot of new competitors got released, and I'm going to talk about one of the new competitors that's coming out at Dragon Con. He's a gentleman that we actually mentioned earlier. He's the man who created the Hardcore title. He's the man responsible for John Clace taking a chop from TJ Marconi. He is the Mad Custodian.
This is a TLC-oriented card, correct?
This is a TLC-oriented card, which makes sense because this is the gentleman who created the Hardcore Championship. So, Mad Custodian, here's the stat line: Power 8, Technique 6, Agility 5, Strike 10, Submission 7, Grapple 9. The gimmick: when your opponent stops a card with table, ladder, sweep, or trash in the name, shuffle one other card from your discard pile into your deck and draw one.
That's pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of cards that they've made, obviously, in the last year that have those keywords in it. So yeah, I can totally see that.
I mean, there's a lot of table, there's a lot of ladder. Sweep. Not so many sweep. I mean, Russian leg sweep's the one that comes to mind immediately.
Yeah. And obviously trash, you know, I mean, there's only so many trash cards in the game.
Yeah, I think Smash with the Trash Can is one of them. Of course,
I think that's the one and only.
The Mad Custodian's finish has a grapple finish with takeout. That's called Take Out the Trash.
Well, aside from that, I'm saying that there's only the one trash card that they made.
Yeah, so I can't think of any other trash cards. I'm really having trouble thinking of any sweeps they outside of Russian leg sweep and his new finish.
There's really no sweep the leg.
There's no sweep the leg, although I could see a Michael Dean's card. Well, him and they are anyway, sweeping the leg. But let's go through the finishes. So, finish strike, the clean sweep. +2 to technique and agility for each card you have in play with sweep in the name. So this obviously is going to trigger on, this is the way it's written, it's going to trigger on itself. So when you play this, you're going to automatically get +2 to technique and +2 to agility, which bumps your 5 and 6 to a 7 and an 8 respectively.
Bonuses are pretty good on it. I think that that's a solid card.
Yeah. Especially if, like I said, you have Russian leg sweep or there's something else with sweep and then you ever get those in play, then absolutely do that. That when you get +4 to each of those, would be quite nice. Yeah. All right. Which actually that reminds me. But when we get done with this, I got to bring up something about the coven that we missed last week.
Okay.
Okay. Finish grapple. Take out the trash. +1 to power.
This is the card you were speaking of that obviously will trigger off the gimmick.
Yeah. Well, if it gets stopped, it'll trigger the gimmick. Right. So +1 to power, +2 technique. Shuffle 5 cards from your discard pile into your deck.
Shuffling 5 cards, that's big.
Yeah, that is big. Yeah, and the plus essentially brings your 8 to a 9 and your 6 to an 8. And all these are crowd meters. All these, well, actually it's going to bring the stats up, and then plus whatever crowd meter is. And then the last one is the mop bucket. This is the only one that wouldn't trigger the. It's a finish submission, +3 to technique, +3 to agility. So all these really tackle the botches in some way. Because it's going to make you 5 and 8, a 6 and 9. And then if stopped, randomly bury your hand or you lose the match via disqualification.
That's a big blow to bury your hand.
Yeah, yeah. Now, obviously, if you're playing a format where there is no disqualification, then you're going to be set.
Yeah, you won't have to do that.
But yeah, that could be a big having to randomly bury your hand to save yourself. But no, I think this is I like this competitor. I like that all his finishes pretty much help you essentially not botch. Because if there's one thing I hate doing, it's botching. Yeah, I think this guy is definitely geared toward a TLC or tables match.
So what did we miss about the coven?
So here's what we missed about the coven. So we missed something about the stat boost in our discussion of the Lights End. We talked about the crowd meters +2. Your finish rolls are plus the crowd meter.
Yeah.
So basically, let's say you rolled your agility, you rolled your 18 on the coven. Your finish roll will be a 20 because at crowd meter 0, your finish roll will be 20 because you're getting the +2. You also get then the crowd meter on top of it, so you're going to get an additional +2. So let's say for example it's crowd meter 1. You hit Lights End. The crowd meter is +2, so you're going to get +3 to your finish roll because your finish rolls are plus the crowd meter. But then when you roll your finish roll, you get to then add +3 because the crowd meter is +3. Because the crowd meter says add +3 to your finish roll. So it's gonna double apparently.
That's really strong still, like I said last week. And
it's just apparently it's an effect we missed. It's still strong, but it's even stronger than we thought. So apologies to the Coven for getting their.
Yes, apologies to the Coven. Please, we don't need you to come and kidnap us in the middle of the night.
Yes, I do. I know I need a vacation, but I don't need that. All right, and that's going to be it for everything I have to cover. Is there anything that do you have a deck tech for us you'd like to bring up?
I do not. I didn't receive any, unfortunately.
Well, I'm going to get ready to read off the local promotions. Hopefully, we'll be able to add some to the list coming up. We do have a change, too, I need to bring up. I'll bring up right now. City of Champions Wrestling in Hopewell, Pennsylvania, Titan Game Shop. They're switching, looks like they're switching from Sundays to Saturday nights at 4, starting in September. So if you're in that area and looking for a place to play, maybe Saturdays at 4 instead of Sundays. Just kind of a change. But yeah, if there's nothing else you have, I'm going to go ahead and leave off the list of play groups. If you'd like to be added, if you would like to be added to the list of play groups, if you have any questions, feedback, if you'd like to submit a deck for deck, please reach out to us. You can contact either Nate or I through Facebook Messenger. You can also email the show, outlawmudcast@gmail.com. That's outlawmudcast@gmail.com, or direct message us on Twitter. We are at Outlaw Mudcast. Here is the list. I'll start at home. Buckeye Championship Wrestling plays at the Guard Tower, Columbus, Ohio. Saturdays at 6 p.m. Up north, Recess Games in North Olmsted hosts West Belt Championship Wrestling. They play Monday nights, Monday Mayhem, as they call it, at 6 p.m. They're also going to be hosting, in about 3 weeks, Marktoberfest, Saturday, September 21st. Noon registration time, bell time, 1 p.m. Please look for the event on Facebook and buy the tickets ahead of time if possible. It will be $10 cheaper to buy online. LFF Tri-State, the home of the boss Steve Resk, John Polverino, and many of the other luminaries in the game. Plays at a store of Fire and Dice in Brook, New York. They play Thursday and Friday nights, so we're usually around 7. True American Hero plays at Clarksville, Tennessee at Frontline Games. They play Saturdays at 6. Florida Cardboard Wrestling, the home of the now, with 2 successful defenses, Robert the Brain Dunn.
3 successful defenses.
Or the 3?
Yeah.
Where did he defend at 3?
Against Slash Gordon was the third one.
Who was the second?
The second one was all I know is on that live stream they said that if you beat Thomas Gordon it would be for the record 3. So I'm going by what they say.
Because I know he won it. He won it at Origins, right?
I believe. No,
I believe
he was gifted the belt at Origins.
Well, but that's because he won the championship.
No, he was given the belt at Origins because he had the belt before then. That was the first time of him receiving the title. Okay. Pretty sure he defended it at Origins.
Okay, well then I gotta figure. I gotta try to remember where he won it.
I swear that I heard in that video that was his 3rd successful defense.
Okay, well, all right. Well, congratulations for all the successful defenses, for still being the Tornado Tag Champion. You don't know. You know what it was? Didn't he defend twice at Gen Con? Did he beat Huntress and then beat somebody else?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah, because I think he won it at Origins, but they didn't have the belt there. They gave it to him at Gen Con.
That's what it was. Yes, he won it at Origins.
He won it at Origins. They gave it to a Gen Con. He had 2 defenses at Gen Con. This was the 3rd. All right. Sorry, but yes, congratulations to Bob Dunn for 3 successful defenses. I hope you don't take my little analysis earlier as a burial. It was not intended that way. But you'll be taking that belt back and representing SRG at Florida Cardboard Wrestling House Rules Gaming in Kissimmee, Florida. Contact them for dates and times. And I have to make a change because Michigan Wrestling Alliance is no more.
No more? Didn't James Hand just make a video the other day about Michigan Wrestling Alliance?
Yes, but he's rechristened the territory as, I believe, New Order Wrestling.
Okay. That's what that New Order Wrestling is then. All right.
Yeah, he has rechristened the territory New Order Wrestling. I believe they're still playing at Fun for All Comics and Games in Gippsland, Michigan. But, there's a new sheriff in town, so who knows? If you're out,
very cool. Congratulations to them on their new
GM. Yeah. So, a couple other places to play in Michigan and Westland, Michigan. Play at Destiny Games. They have games Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. Or you can play at Fanfare Comics in Kalamazoo, Michigan. They play the second and fourth Sunday of every month, 12 to 2. Sin City Wrestling out in Las Vegas, Nevada. They play at Atomic Trading Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. In Norman, Oklahoma, Wizards Card Championship Wrestling plays at Wizards Asylum Comics and Games, usually Sundays around noon, but I checked the store or the Facebook group. In Massachusetts, the home state of my co-host, Revolutionary Championship Wrestling plays at a variety of locations. In New Bedford, Mass, they play at New England Comics Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesdays from 3 to 6, Saturdays from 11 to 4. In Westport, they play at Tabletop Games Tuesdays from 3:30 to 6. And in Fall River, they play Game King Sunday nights from 5 to 9 p.m. Heading south to New York, in Oakdale, New York, Island Life Wrestling plays at East End Gaming. They usually play Wednesdays and Friday nights. Outpost Wrestling plays at Outpost Games in Glendale, Arizona. They play Saturdays from 11 to 2. New Jersey, Highlander Games in Boonton, New Jersey hosts Evil People Wrestling. Contact the store for a date and time. In East Norton, Pennsylvania, Alternate Universe's Bluebell hosts the game. Again, contact the store for date and time. And finally, in Holmes, Pennsylvania, Alternate Universe's Home hosts games Sundays. That is it. Hopefully, we'll get some new groups coming out of Florida, coming out of Atlanta. I've heard there's a group that might be starting up in Jacksonville.
That's the rumor.
That's the rumor, so it'd be nice. Maybe you can get some of the AEW Jacksonville talent to swing on by. Get Adam Page to play Adam Page. Get Jericho to play some Hultane and have the rematch right there. Yep.
Yeah, settle the score in Super Show. No better way.
Nope.
Banging and clanging those dice.
Yep. That is going to be it. Nate, is there anything else you have you'd like to say?
No, been quiet on my front. Just playing my league matches, and I got a watchful eye going on in this community, so I'm not saying much, but I'm still here.
All right.
So everybody, eat good, roll better, have another fantastic week, and until the next episode.
That's right. For my co-host, I'm Kirk. Thank you, and good day.